How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this is on the sad and tragic suicide of Warren Sampson at HMP Chelmsford back in 2015. Now, my thoughts and prayers are with his family. God bless him. May he rest in peace. Now, this story is just sad and tragic, guys. Really, really sad and tragic case, and just breaks me heart, to be honest. It's 3 and a bit years ago, but it doesn't matter. A life is a life. God bless Warren Sampson. May he rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers are with your family. Headline reads, HMP Chelmsford prisoner took his own life after inadequate response to calls. A prison inmate killed himself hours after his mother had phoned the jail concerned for her son's safety, the prison and probation ombudsman has said. Warren Sampson's mother had rung HMP Chelmsford on the 4th of September 2015 because of messages he had left on her phone. A report said no one spoke to him about this or tried to gauge his risk, a response that was inadequate. The 29-year-old was later found hanged. A prison officer spokeswoman said the jail had since made improvements. Boils my blood, that comment, right? Oh, we've since made improvements, right? No, you haven't. No, you fucking have not. You do not care about prisoners, right? And this shouldn't have happened in the first place to make improvements, right? Every person, every prison officer, every governor, do you know what I mean? They should all treat the prisoners like it's their son or daughter that's in prison. They genuinely should, right? And like I say, mental health services are inadequate, and this is shocking, guys. Prison officer spokeswoman said, oh, the jail, we've since made improvements. Well, you're just a smart alecky that's got an answer for everything, right? The fact is, little too late for Warren Sampson, God bless him. Mr. Sampson was remanded at the Essex prison on the 4th of August after being charged with assaulting his partner and was placed under suicide and self-harm procedures from the 12th of August until his death. So how did he commit suicide, guys, if he was on a suicide and self-harm procedure? The ombudsman said that these did not operate fully effectively, and staff missed the signs that Mr. Sampson's vulnerability and risk of suicide had increased on the 4th of September. After a mental health review, a counsellor was concerned about his anxiety and that he made a noose, but wing staff and others did not explore this further. The guy's made a fucking noose. What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? What else can he do to show you? Made a noose. Pfft. Poor man. God bless him. A prisoner in the next cell to Mr. Sampson said he looked like a broken man and told an officer while gesturing a hanging motion, but the officer said she could not remember what had been said or any gesture was made. How convenient. He'd also called his partner and mother that afternoon and could not get through, but left messages suggesting he intended to kill himself. The report said, including one to his partner, which, if she answered the phone, he would have told her she had just saved his life. His mother called the prison between 1915 and 1930, and officers did go to his cell, but did not ask about his safety concerns. Mr. Sampson was found hanged in his cell between 21:40 and 21:45 and was pronounced dead an hour later. The ombudsman investigates every prison death, and although Mr. Sampson died 3 years ago, the report has only now been published. This October, the charity inquest said the jail, which is one of the highest suicide rates in the country, made the same systematic failings with dismal regularity. A prison officer spokesperson said, "This is a tragic case and our thoughts remain with Mr. Sampson's family and friends. We accepted all the recommendations from the prison and probation ombudsman, and the prison has since made a number of improvements to the work it does to prevent suicide and self-harm. The prison has provided specialist treatment for staff to help them identify, monitor and support vulnerable offenders, and have also recruited more than an extra 60 officers in the last year, giving staff more time to provide dedicated support to every prisoner." What a load of bollocks. Sorry guys, it's bollocks. They don't... Prisoners, right, when prisoners locked behind the door, the only time you see them is you're on an app book, if you've got a visit, if it's food time, if it's social, if it's exercise, right? Apart from that, or roll count as well, when they pop your latch or they look for your self lap, right? They don't care. The fact that they make out that they're like that they care and stuff about prisoners, no, they do not care, right? The guy was found with a noose for fuck's sake, the same noose that he probably used to commit suicide. God bless him, right? And nothing was done. How can you be under suicide prevention, right, and be on OBS, and still be able to top yourself. It sickens me to my very core, guys. It's disgusting. It's wrong. Absolutely breaks me heart, guys. It might be 3 and a bit years ago, but this is a young man's life. 29-year-old Warren Sampson, crying out for help. Crying out for help. His girlfriend that he was with at the time, right? Because obviously he was in for a domestic abuse incident, like I say, rightly or wrongly, I don't know the circumstances. He rang her. Or it might have been a new partner, but he rang her. She didn't answer the phone. If his mother, obviously you can't blame his mum or his girlfriend, I'm not blaming them, but I'm saying if either of them was able to take that call, would have snapped him out of that mood that he was in at that moment. Could have kept him on going, kept to give him a focus, could have given that light at the end of the tunnel. They was obviously not able to answer the phone because he was busy, and he took his own life. And even though his mum was ringing the prison from 7:15 till 7:30, he wasn't found dead for another 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and a half. Do you know what I mean? Between 21:40 and 21:45, he was found, and then he was pronounced dead an hour later. Just, I want to make a disclaimer to you guys, right? If you have got a loved one that is in prison, right, and you were supporting them, and you were on the end of the phone, and you're doing email at prisoner, and you're writing to them, and you're going on visits, I promise you, I know this sounds crazy, and you might think I'm talking shit, you're actually saving that individual's life, because you might pick up on the voice that they've changed. Prison will bring you to your knees, right? I don't care how big and how bad you are. Prison brought me to my knees, contemplating suicide, I don't care. Be honest with you. You are saving your loved one's life. If you are supporting a loved one in prison, you are saving that person's life. You are keeping that person's head on their shoulders even when it falls off. You're putting it back on. You give them that light. You give them that focus. You give them the light at the end of the tunnel. And honest to God, the importance of family ties whilst in prison, honestly, can be the difference between life and death. I'm telling you now. You might not think so because your fella's a big guy and all this stuff. Trust me when I tell you. Trust me. Because some guys, they're open, that you can see it etched all over the face. They're going through turmoil. Other prisoners hide it very well. And they don't want to tell you because it's a weakness thing. They don't want to say to you, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, I'm contemplating suicide, do you know what I mean, self-harm or whatever. You play a very, very important role in that person's life whilst they're in prison. If you were ever worried about the health, safety and well-being of your loved one in prison, please listen to me. If you ring the prison and just tell an officer, it won't get passed on. I'm telling you now, you will not get passed on. I'm sorry, but it won't. It might do in a very small number of cases, but it won't. Ring the prison, ask to speak to the chaplain. The chaplain is a civilian that works within the prison. They're a man of the cloth. Like I say, every different religion's covered in prison. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, do you know what I mean? Christians, do you know what I mean? Catholics, Roman Catholics, everything is catered for when it comes to religion in prison. Ring the prison, ask to speak to the chaplain. Now, some nosy screw will say, what's it regarding? Just say I was on the phone to someone, I got cut off or something, or it's like a welfare matter or something. Don't tell the officer because they might try to get it out of you. Speak to the chaplain. Speak to the chaplain. Importantly stress just how, if you spoke to your loved one and you can hear it in his voice and he's telling you that he wants to die and he wants to end it all, tell everything. Tell as much as you can to the chaplain on the phone. Ask the chaplain, say, look, please, chaplain, please can you take my number and please can you go and see him immediately if you're able to. Come back and please ring me and let me know. And that will happen. 9 times out of 10, that priest, that vicar, that imam will go to the cell, see the prisoner in question, talk to them, get a feel for where they're at psychologically. And like I say, they'll come back to you on the phone and stuff like that. It might settle you down and stuff like that. It lets you know, gives you peace of mind. That's all I can advise, guys. I can't really say more than that. But a prison officer, a chaplain's more inclined to like show compassion than a prison officer, because to them it's just a job. And for the most part, they look down the nose at prisoners. A chaplain is a member of staff. He's there, and they show compassion as much as that. And like I say, it could be the difference between life and death. But you, by supporting a loved one in prison, you are honest to God, You don't know it, but if you guys walked away, that loved one could end up self-harming, taking their own life, suicide attempt. Trust me, it goes on. So you play an important role in that life, in that prisoner's life. I promise you that. Anyway, guys, I want to stop waffling on. Let me know what you think about the story. Take into consideration what I've said. If you've got a loved one in prison, you're really concerned for their welfare and well-being and mental health, speak to the chaplain. On that note, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.